Bickley and Marotta Mornings. Arizona Sports. The local sports leader. Bickley Blast.
Jimmy Butler is a force of nature, a great leader, a competitor so fierce and so ruthless, he once volunteered to fight every one of his teammates in Minnesota, an offer that nobody dared to accept. So yes, the idea of a hardcore dude like Butler replacing Bradley Beal on the Suns roster is exhilarating. The idea of getting a player like Butler and getting out of the salary cap jail they're in could even save the future. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but like Jarrett said, it would be a coup to rival getting D-Hop while trading away David Johnson in that awful contract. And yes, the picture of Jimmy Butler dyeing his hair to match the primary color on Planet Orange is very exciting. But it's very important for Suns fans to not conflate this excitement with inevitability. It's still a long shot, and I'm real curious in the interim to see how this tsunami of a rumor affects the current group, how it affects the bond between Bradley Beal and KD and Book, especially if he believes those two want to trade him in for something different. But here is the most important thing. Even if they can't obtain Jimmy Butler, the person, they should focus on the idea of Jimmy Butler. In other words, looking to trade for somebody who brings physicality and size and edge and the fight the Phoenix Suns so badly need. All right, today's Bickley Blast brought to you by my great friends at Chapman BMW, who make luxury attainable. Find them online at chapmanbmw.com.
Jimmy Butler is absolutely interested in coming to the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns are very, very high on his list. Yes, Jimmy Butler, if he is going to get traded from Miami, is interested in the Phoenix Suns. I would go as far as to say that I believe this will be his number one choice.
All right, so in Miami, you might be wondering, how is this news playing out in Miami? Pre-game last night, Eric Spoelstra said, quote, "This is the profession. You can't get sick at sea over some narratives that are going on out there." Okay, meaning you can't let the emotions of all of this make you queasy. That's interesting. Barry Jackson, who writes and covers the Heat for the Miami Herald, said, quote, "Wrapping up Jimmy Butler at the hour, there are no trade requests. The Heat are not pushing to get rid of him, but listens on everything. Heat is not offering a max extension at this time. Houston not pursuing at this time. Golden State remains the team to watch." So could people have said, could that orange in Jimmy Butler's hair be the orange in the Warriors uniform? I doubt that.
There were sources,
That's
right,
Planet
saying
Orange.
from the agent, right,
Yeah.
that basically it was the Suns.
Right.
But you know, you never know. It's interesting because the Heat had a chance to sign him to an extension prior to this year, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And so clearly he's not part of their future. So, you know, it seems like if he's going to go, it's just going to be the best deal. And the question is, can the Suns come up with something that makes sense for the
No.
Heat? And it's,
Yeah,
right. We've come up with it's very difficult.
So
it's not impossible.
Right. So you would need a sucker team as the third team. But what team is going to want that Bradley Beal contract? And if it's a sucker team, why would Bradley Beal want to go there? So again, this is why it's real hard to conflate the excitement of him wanting us versus this really being something that's about to pop.
And it's not even, it's a third team has to want Bradley Beal. Mm-hmm. And that third team has to want to give up something good enough to Miami to make it worth their while. Because they're the ones that they're going to get the piece. You know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about. But I also know that Jimmy Butler, what he did in Minnesota was very, very real. He literally walked into practice one day so sick of the organization, sick of Karl Anthony Towns, sick of all those cats, that he just basically tore through them all.
Right. And that third team will have to, Bradley Beal will want to have to play for that third team since he also has. Mm-hmm. So it can't be just like a loser team looking to absorb a contract and maybe get some like young players or picks or something, because Beal has to agree to it too. But you're right. One thing that we have been shown over and over again in the NBA is if a star player wants to leave enough and only wants to go to one certain place enough, it will happen.
You can make it happen. You just have to be willing to just be the biggest jerk face on the planet. And Jimmy Butler at this stage of his career, I think he's quite capable of doing that. I just don't know if he would do that to Pat Riley. Now, maybe their relationship has changed because he didn't get that extension, like you said. But Jimmy Butler's also 35, and I don't know what kind of number he's looking for. But he could create or try to create enough of an issue that the Miami Heat just release him or waive him, or I don't know what other options you might have.
Now, you mentioned in the blast, though, the idea of Jimmy Butler.
Yes, the idea of Jimmy Butler. So if you...
A poor man's Jimmy Butler,
yes,
maybe.
Like maybe packaging a Grayson Allen, a Royson O'Neal, a Josh Okogie.
Yusuf
Nurkic, finding a piece or two that kind of bring that element to the Suns. Vinny says this all the time, and he's right about it. As much as the Jay Crowder thing went south at the end of his time here, Suns have not had that edgy player ever since.
And it's very true. It's very true. And that went sideways in a strange way.
Yep.
And it's a shame though, because it's hard to bring that element to it. There aren't that many guys in the NBA that play like that, relative to the amount of players in the NBA.
No, you're right.
I mean, there are some key guys that do it, and I feel like it's also something that's gone away over the years.
Yep.
I mean, the teams that you covered going back to Chicago. I mean, like the antagonists are those are the kind of guys you need.
Yes, and not only that, it almost seems like the way teams are getting physical and taking license and liberties with Devin Booker, that they need somebody who's willing to step up when Devin Booker gets taken to the floor by a defensive player. They need somebody on that team to come up and go push that dude to the ground or step in and just be that guy, the Charles Oakley kind of guy. There have been all sorts. Draymond Green is a much more contemporary example. I think that would help Devin Booker as well. So the idea of Jimmy Butler is something that shouldn't get lost here. Because if you can't get the player getting somebody or pieces that carry some of those attributes, might do just as much good.
I'm interested to see tonight if KD, especially if KD doesn't play, does it happen again? Do the Jazz somehow find a way to really flatten Devin Booker's performance? And it just becomes more and more of a concern every time we see it.
Yeah.
And it's 1-9. That's the record.
Yeah.
Against teams, and they've played some teams that you look at it on, and you're saying, you shouldn't be able to believe in the mantra of, any team can beat any team on any night in the NBA. That's not really how the NBA is built.
No. I know, you're right.
Some sports, yes. But
yes, you're right. And so on that level, the Suns caught a break in not making the NBA Emirates Cup Finals, the tournament, because you got that long break that they needed. That's their second long break of the season already.
Both of them during Kevin Durant injuries.
Both during Kevin Durant injuries, and now the games that got backfilled on their schedule against a bunch of humps, Jared.
Yeah, you got the losers that didn't make the tournament.
That's right. You got the losers that didn't make. You got the Jazz and you got the Blazers on Sunday. So it
really did work out.
Yeah, not making that thing is quite the gift in retrospect.
It might be something they have to figure out. Because it's much to their benefit to not make it. So
at some point they'll have to play a whole week of games without Kevin Durant.
But again, it's you know how we as a market have been kind of fixating on this Jimmy Butler story now for some time. It's in the locker room. You can guarantee that.
And you know why the market is fixating on it? Because it's the next thing that will save the Suns.
There's always
okay. We got Kevin Durant, but we didn't win. But Bradley Beal, that now we have a big three. Bradley Beal didn't work, but Jimmy Butler, that's going to.
That's right. That's right. No, you're not. You're firing out
the next hot commodity. Yeah, Jimmy Butler.
There you go.
Thanks for watching Bickley and Marotta. Click to see the latest Bickley Blast and hit the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.